having your real estate license, how did that change your business from just being being a flipper, being an investor? And what are you doing now, kind of in your business, or what have you done in the residential single family space with a license that has kind of really changed your business?
Yeah, interestingly, way before I ever owned a personal house, I'd already bought multiple houses. Because I mean, naturally, in college, I didn't own a house, but I bought 4 investment properties. Moved to Houston, got a sales job, did really well with that, and I didn't really do anything in real estate until about 2010, 2011. Then I got married and we started buying rental properties. So ultimately, I was a one-trick pony because that was all I knew. Going back to the education gap, I only knew one thing, and that's because I went to a boot camp that taught me one thing. So when my wife and I started buying rental properties, we did the only thing I knew, knocking on doors for pre-foreclosures. What I didn't realize at the time was the pre-foreclosure game. It was much different in Houston, and also it was much different post 2011 than it was 2005. So I had to switch gears. I had to find more education, which that came through going to networking events. And I ended up meeting a guy named Eddie Gant. He owns a large, like one of the top hard money companies in Houston or Texas. So I would always go to these networking events, and I would try to ask 1 or 2 questions. I would come in with intention, go into networking events with purpose. And I'm an introvert, so I have to be a little bit more thoughtful about it. So I would go with purpose to ask 1 or 2 questions, and I would do that consistently. And then at one point, I asked Eddie a question at his event, and I was like, "Hey, should I get my real estate license?" Because he had one. And paraphrasing, but he basically said, if you want to make this business your profession, you want to be a professional, then you need to make it official. Like, you need to get your license. It's never going to hurt you. It will only add more options that you have available. So ended up getting my license, but I'm still a one-trick pony. I buy houses for cash. That's it. That's the only business proposition I presented to homeowners. And when I go back and look at it and now and realize like the hundreds of thousands of dollars, actually, it probably ends up being, it's got to be 7 figures in commissions that I left off the table, because if I went to someone's house and they were a seller, they were a serious seller, they were just not going to sell at a price that made sense for me and the investor, I had the ability to help them, but I chose not to. Even though I was a licensed real estate agent, I was sitting in the living room saying, "Hey, I would love to sell my house. I'm not going to sell it for that price. I want closer to retail." And I could have helped them, but I didn't. In 2018, I put the math to that problem, and it came out to, in 2018 alone, the number of homes that I sat in the living room and made an offer on, but did not buy their house, and they went on to sell their house on the retail market on MLS. It would have been a $200,000 gross commission in my pocket if I only converted 30% of them. So I was like, because I didn't know anything. I didn't know conversion ratios for realtors. I knew it for investors. So I was like, 30%. I mean, if I'm horrible at converting retail leads, like, that seems obtainable. Knowing now that good listing agents will convert 70, 80, 90% of their appointments, like, man, the commissions I left off the table. So ended up switching the business proposition more to a consultative approach. It's now, hey, I'm here in your house. I'm here to help you find the best solution to get your house sold. Now, maybe that's selling it as is off market, quick and easy. We don't need to list it, no showings. Maybe it's a more traditional approach, putting it on the market, making sure we get you the highest possible price from the public market. Maybe it's an option in between, which could involve owner's finance, subject to working with some iBuyers and that sort of thing. So ultimately, when I did that, I realized that we can convert more leads. And I also realized that the seller that's going to sell as is, you cannot convince them to go sell it on the retail market. They just don't want to. They already know they can use a realtor. That's not a new thing. You're not introducing some new idea. So I was not going to cut my own investment foot off by suggesting the realtor route. What I really was going to do is affirm that is not an option for them, and then really hone in on the problem of off-market solutions. Same with a retail client. Someone who wants to sell retail, you're not going to convince them to sell at 70%, below market value. Like these folks typically, they're not motivated financially. The home is usually in fair condition, maybe just cosmetic updates. So I'm not going to be able to convince them to sell as is, but I can use that as is as a carrot to bring the lead in, have a conversation, build dialogue, build trust, and convert them as a listing. And then, of course, there's some middle ground too that either side may be interested in, just depending on their circumstance. So that was the transition that I made, and actually ended up joining EXP right when all that was going on too. And when I think about, man, the stock I would have accumulated had I even known about those kind of options or working things that way years before, it would have been quite lucrative. So